Hey guys, I want to do a quick video and answer some questions that I've been receiving about catching trout. So the three questions that I keep getting constantly are, where do you find the speckled trout? What do you use to catch them? And what gear or what rods and reels am I actually using? So I'm going to cover these three questions, and I'm going to show you some actual on the water footage. So that way I'm showing you what I'm doing and not just talking about it, because I've been pretty consistent lately of catching some pretty decent sized trout here in Southwest Florida where I'm at. There's a limit, and you guys can actually check out the rules app. I use this thing all the time because the one thing most people will know here in Florida, the rules change quite a bit. And so I use that when I do catch fish, I legally harvest them and I'm following the rules. So in Southwest Florida, where I'm at, normally my home waters, it is a 3 fish limit. 15 inches to 19 inches is the limit. So you can keep anything within 15 inches between 19 inches. And then you can keep one speckled trout that's over 19 inches. The first thing I normally do before I go out, unless I know the area, I'm looking up and seeing where I want to fish. And to do that, what I've been using lately is the Salt Strong Smart app. This app is pretty phenomenal. So it gives you what the tide looks like. It gives you the wind. It shows you certain peak times when fish are really feeding. It shows you what types of fish will be in that area. And then it even gives you a contour of what the bottom looks like. And then you can see whether there's grass, whether there's oysters, and different things like that. When you're fishing for trout, the main thing that I typically look for is grass. I'm looking for not only grass, but I'm looking for subtle drop-offs. So if it goes from 2 feet down to 3 or 4 feet, and there's grass in that area, that is typically where I want to concentrate my trout fishing. And I will tell you this, I use my electronics a lot. I did a video not too long ago talking about is it important to even have electronics? And in my opinion, it is, because I can see those subtle depth changes to see where those fish are. And, also shows me the grass and different things like that. So if I'm in an area that has grass and I have that subtle depth change from, 1 to 2 feet depth change, that's where I'm going to concentrate. Sometimes if I get in an area where there's, about a 3 foot depth change, I'm definitely fishing there as long as it has grass, because what that's doing, those create ambush points for the trout. Remember, trout are predator fish and they like ambushing their prey. So whether it's bait fish that comes by, whether it's shrimp, other food that they would normally eat, that's a way of ambushing their prey. Something else I'm looking for in the area, I'm looking for bait fish. So if I'm going and I'm not seeing any bait fish on my fish finder, or just seeing little commotion in the water, I may not fish there. If there's bait, the fish are going to be there. The fish follow the bait. And then I'm also looking for bird activity, whether it's pelicans diving, you'll see seagulls diving sometimes, or if I see a cormorant, those black birds that are swimming around that are straight annoying, but if I see them swimming around, I know that normally that there's pinfish in the area. And if there's pinfish, the trout are going to be there as well, because that is another source of food for the trout. So to answer the second question, what do I use to catch them? Well, the first and the easiest thing to use is live shrimp. You can put live shrimp on a popping cork, you can free line live shrimp, and both of those are very effective. But what I will say is, if you're free lining shrimp, shrimp are going to try to get into that grass as well. And a lot of times your hook will be exposed and it's going to get caught up in there and, catch a lot of grass. With a popping cork, you can move the popping cork and adjust it to the depth of the water that you're actually fishing. And that works pretty effectively. Both of those methods have their time to actually use them. What I have been doing a lot lately is using artificial shrimp. I've been fishing with the salty Ned shrimp a lot. I've caught quite a few trout that way. And whether you're using, whatever type of artificial shrimp, just remember that with the voodoo shrimp or savage gear, they have ones that have exposed hooks and one that have weedless hooks. And so you just have to know which one to use at which time. With a free line hook, a lot of times those will sink a lot faster. And so if you're trying to get that reaction strike, that may work. Weedless typically sink a little bit slower, and depending on the time of year, that may be effective. In the wintertime, you got to realize that the fish are going to move a little bit slower, and so when it's falling a little slower in the wintertime, that may help catch those fish a little bit more. And then it also depends on where they are in the water column. I've caught a lot of fish lately on the very bottom. So it just depends. You have to let the fish tell you what they really want. The other thing that you can use is a bait fish, whether it's a live bait fish or an artificial bait fish. If you're going to use live bait fish, greenbacks work, thread fins, all those types of baits work. Pinfish also work as well. There's times that I've actually caught pinfish, smaller ones, put them on a hook and thrown them right back out there and, caught some fish. So it just depends. What I've absolutely fallen in love with lately is my Z-Man Minnow Z paddle tails. I usually use, right now this time of the year, I've been using the 3-inch. But you can use the 4-inch or 5-inch. It just depends on the size of the bait that's in your area at that time of the year. This time of the year in the springtime, the bait fish are a little bit smaller. Now as it gets to the summertime and to the fall, that bait is going to be quite a bit bigger because it gives them, they're having time to grow over the year. And a 5-inch paddle tail in the fall may work a lot better than a 3-inch. It just depends on the size of the bait in the area. But what I've been using lately, I've been using a 3-inch paddle tail on a Texas eye jig, which is an open jig hook. And I've been tossing that out, and my method that I've been using lately is kind of a jigging technique. So I throw it out as far as I can, and I start jigging my rod tip up and down, and it makes the bait go up and down like this in the water column. And a lot of times I'm just letting it fall almost all the way to the bottom, and on the fall is where I'm getting those strikes because it looks like an injured bait fish and it seems like an easy target for them, and the trout have been really tearing it up. The third question, what type of gear am I using? I'll say this, I am a very frugal individual, and you do not have to have very expensive gear to go out there and catch these trout. What you really need is a good rod that is sensitive enough to detect bites when, like I was just saying, when that bait is falling down and your line is slack, where you can feel that subtle tap or that thump of that trout. That's where a good rod comes in. Lately, I've been using Old 18 Outfitters rods. They are super sensitive, super light, and extremely reliable. I love these things. I think they are the best rods on the market that I have used, and I've used a lot of rods, and I'm telling you, these things are awesome. And then I usually pair that up with a 1,000 size reel all the way up to a 3,000 or 4,000 reel. I think a 4,000 size reel is extreme. My reels that I've been using lately are the 2,500, and right now I've been throwing Daiwa BGs and a Shimano Nasi. For the line that I use is, you can get away with 10-pound up to 20-pound braid, and then you don't have to have an extremely heavy line. So I throw 10-pound braid right now, connected with an FG knot. If something happens and I break off and I'm catching a lot of fish, I may go a uni to uni knot when I'm out there on the water, but I do have a way of doing an FG knot on the water that is actually pretty quick and just as strong as when I do it at the house. My leader line is fluorocarbon, and you can get away with 15 to 25-pound test. This depends on the area that you're at, because there are some times that I'm fishing for trout and there's a possibility of snook or redfish there. You may want that little bit thicker line, but it also depends on the clarity of the water. If you have fish that are really skittish and not biting what you're throwing, you may have to downsize to a smaller line. I've known guys to even fish 10-pound mono or fluorocarbon leader just to be able to get the bite. It just depends on the fish. And so if you're throwing live bait, you may want to use a number 1 all the way up to a 3/0 hook, whether it's a live bait hook, octopus circle hook, or just a circle hook. All of those work, but you don't need an extremely large hook for your live bait. The smaller you can get away with, actually the better. I suggest a size number 1 octopus circle hook. Those are great. I absolutely love those when I'm fishing with live bait for trout, and they work. So my jig heads that I use for my paddle tails are the Z-Man Trout Eyes jig heads. The hook is a little bit smaller, which I like, and I throw from an 1/8 ounce up to a 1/4 ounce. Typically right now what I've been throwing is the 1/4 ounce because it falls pretty quickly, and I've been getting a lot of reaction strikes that way using that 1/4 ounce. But I also have plenty of 3/16 in my tackle box. So those are the 3 quick questions that I wanted to answer on how to easily catch speckled trout. I mentioned it before, tools that you can use. 1, you got to know the rules in your area. So the Fish Rules app, I definitely suggest to have that on your phone, because even if you're in a different area, you can easily look it up and see what you can keep and what is legal in that particular area that you're fishing with. The second one is the Salt Strong Smart app. I highly suggest that thing. You have to be a member of Salt Strong. I will have the information in the description below on how to become a member, and you can get a free pack of lures right now if you use the link in the description below. And the final thing, I absolutely love Old 18 Outfitter rods. They are the best rods on the market. It is a veteran-owned company. They always have sales. Actually, they have a sale going on right now at the making of this video, and they have outstanding customer support. So these rods are made right here in the United States. They're based in Texas, and if you've ever watched MDLR fishing, that's what he uses. I have a couple of their series of rods. I have the Accent kinetic rod, and I recently purchased a suppressor rod. I tell you what, these things are fabulous. I will also have Old 18 Outfitters, the rods that I use, in the description below. Guys, that is going to do it for this video. If you've learned something in here, give me a thumbs up on this video. And if you have any other things that, tips or tricks or anything like that, put them in the comments below so that way others can see. That's the purpose of this channel, is not just to get on here and just make videos. I'm actually trying to help other people become better fishermen. That is the whole purpose of this channel. The first purpose is to glorify God. That is it. The second reason of this channel is to help people. I just love to help people. When anyone asks me why I love fishing, I can go all day long. And when they ask about certain things, I'll take the time to actually explain to them what I do, even locations that I fish in. So I hope this video helped, guys. Like I said, if you did enjoy it, if it did help you out, give me a thumbs up, and then also share my channel. Like I said, I really appreciate you watching this video. And remember, God loves you. God bless you. May He keep you. Peace.